"I'm your father," the old man cried, his voice shaking as he clutched the doorframe for support. The woman standing before him barely looked up. Clara adjusted her expensive coat, her lips curling in irritation as if something unpleasant had interrupted her evening. "I don't care who you are," she snapped. "You don't belong here." The elderly man lowered his gaze. His clothes were worn but clean, his hands rough from years of labor. He had traveled for hours just to see his son, his only son after months of unanswered letters. The house was large, modern, and far beyond anything he had known. For a moment he wondered if he had truly raised the boy who lived here. "I only wanted to wait," he said quietly. "He'll recognize me when he comes home." Clara laughed softly, cruelly. "You think he'll be happy to see you looking like that?" She waved a dismissive hand. "People like you embarrass him." The old man flinched as if struck. She stepped aside and pointed toward the gate. "Leave, before the neighbors start asking questions." He tried again, desperation breaking through his pride. "Please, I'm not asking for money, I just want to see my son. I raised him alone after his mother died. I gave him everything I had." Her expression hardened. "And now he's built a life without you," she said coldly. "A life you don't fit into." The words settled like stones in his chest. Slowly he turned away from the door and made his way to the front steps. He sat down heavily, exhaustion overtaking him. His legs trembled, his breath shallow. The sky darkened as evening approached, but he didn't move. Inside, Clara poured herself a drink, shaking her head in annoyance. She told herself she was protecting their future, their image. Beggars, she believed, had no place in it. Minutes passed, then more. Outside, the old man's hands tightened around a small worn photograph, the last picture he had of his son, taken years ago before success had changed everything. "I'm still your father," he whispered into the empty street. What he didn't know was that a car was turning into the driveway, and the man stepping out of it was about to hear every word. The car door closed with a sharp click. Daniel stood frozen at the end of the driveway, his briefcase slipping from his hand as his eyes locked onto the familiar, fragile figure sitting on the steps. For a moment, his mind refused to accept what he was seeing. "Dad," he whispered. The old man looked up slowly, squinting through tired eyes. When recognition finally dawned, his face crumpled with relief and pain all at once. "Daniel," he breathed, struggling to stand. Daniel rushed forward, catching him before he could fall. He felt how light his father had become, how thin his shoulders were beneath the worn coat. A surge of guilt crashed through him. "What are you doing out here?" Daniel asked urgently. "Why are you sitting in the cold?" Before the old man could answer, the front door opened. Clara stepped out, irritation already forming on her face. "Daniel, you're home early." She stopped short when she saw them together. Daniel turned to her, his expression unreadable. "Did you know my father was here?" Clara crossed her arms defensively. "He showed up unannounced. I told him to leave." "You told him to leave," Daniel repeated quietly. "He was making a scene," she said quickly. "The neighbors—" "He's my father," Daniel said, his voice rising. "He raised me, alone, with nothing." The old man lowered his head, shame burning in his eyes. "It's all right, son," he murmured. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." Daniel felt something break inside him. He gently guided his father inside, ignoring Clara's protests. "Sit," he said softly, pulling out a chair. He noticed the trembling hands, the labored breathing, the exhaustion written into every line of his father's face. "When was the last time you ate?" Daniel asked. The old man hesitated. That was answer enough. Clara scoffed. "Daniel, you're overreacting. This isn't what we planned, our life." "Our life?" Daniel cut in sharply. "You mean the life where my father is humiliated on my doorstep?" Silence fell like a blade. Clara's confidence faltered. "I was just protecting us." Daniel looked at her then, not as his fiancée, but as a stranger. "If protecting us means losing my humanity," he said coldly, "then I don't want it." The old man's eyes filled with tears. "I never wanted to come between you two." "You didn't," Daniel said firmly, gripping his father's hand. "But you showed me something I needed to see." Clara took a step back, realizing the ground beneath her certainty was cracking, and for the first time, Daniel began to question whether the woman he planned to marry truly knew what love meant at all. The night passed quietly, but nothing was the same. Daniel stayed awake, sitting at the kitchen table while his father slept on the couch under a warm blanket. Every soft breath the old man took felt like a reminder of years Daniel had traded away for ambition, distance, and silence. At dawn, the doctor arrived. Clara watched from the doorway, arms crossed as the examination finished. "He's malnourished and exhausted," the doctor said gravely. "Another few hours in the cold could have been dangerous." Daniel's jaw tightened. He walked his father to the guest room himself and helped him settle in. The old man's eyes shone with gratitude. "You don't have to do all this," he whispered. "I should have done it long ago," Daniel replied. Later that morning, Daniel turned to Clara. "This engagement is over," he said calmly. Her face drained of color. "You can't be serious." "I am," he answered. "Last night showed me who you are when kindness costs you something." She tried to argue about image, success, appearances, but her words fell flat. Daniel opened the door. "Leave," he said, "and don't come back." When she was gone, the house felt lighter. Days turned into weeks. Daniel rearranged his life, working from home, cooking meals, listening to stories he had once been too busy to hear. His father spoke of sacrifice without bitterness, of pride without demand. Slowly, health returned to the old man's face. One afternoon, as they sat in the garden, his father looked at him with gentle eyes. "I never needed your success," he said. "I just wanted my son." Daniel felt tears slip free. "I'm here now," he said, "and I'm not leaving again." Months later, Daniel sold the house that had once symbolized distance and bought a smaller one filled with warmth and laughter. He volunteered at shelters, helping elderly men who reminded him painfully of his father that night. Because sometimes life gives a cruel test, and only those who choose compassion pass it. Daniel had finally learned that love isn't proven by who you marry, but by who you refuse to abandon.